Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Reef Drama. Today we're going to carry on with the aquarium maintenance routines, and it's monthly day today. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick straight off and we're going to be removing that bag of carbon that we put in 2 weeks ago. So run for 2 weeks and then out of the tank for 2 weeks. So that's the first job. Let's get straight into it. See you in a bit. Alright, so back down in the sump then. So as I say, just going to remove this. Now you'll probably also notice that the skimmer cup is missing. So that's out in the kitchen and that's getting cleaned at the moment. So it will be getting cleaned. And I've also got the water change to do a little bit later on this afternoon. And I've also just replaced the filter floss as well. So that's the carbon out. As I say, run for 2 weeks, out for 2 weeks. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go and remove the reactor, and we're going to empty out all the Rowaphos that's in there, or the for the phosphate removal, and then we're going to refill it back up again. So let's get straight into that, and then straight afterwards we're going to do the topping up of the nitrate pearls. Okay, so first things first, what we need to do is turn the water off to the Rowaphos reactor, which is this right hand side tap up here. So let's turn that off so no more water's going through it. And now we can remove the container or the cylinder like so, and I have my bucket down next to me ready so that when this drops off we can then put it straight into the bucket and it's not going to be leaking water all over the floor as we carry it through to the kitchen for cleaning. I have to tip some of this water out, so I've got to tilt it at the angle. Okay, so that's the first thing done. Right, well, you have also seen this already before. I have done a video previously with regards to full replacement, and also you know, when you first start up your Rowaphos reactor. So you'll be able to go and see that video for a bit more in depth, but literally all it's a case of doing is removing the internal, washing out the external, cleaning the bits and pieces, the little sponge here and the top, and then once this is all cleaned out and dried, we'll then refill it with new Rowaphos. So nice and easy, nice and straightforward. So I've got my cleaning tools here as well that I use. So let me get on with this and I'll come back to you once it's all done and nice and clean. Alrighty, well, as you can see, they're all cleaned, well, cleanish. I mean, there is still some coralline on here, of course, but you know, what you could potentially do with this is whenever you go through and clean all your power heads and all your pumps, whether you do that in citric acid or whether you do that in that D&D easy solution that I did a video on before, which I'll put a link up here for, and then basically that will kind of, you know, take all this coralline off once it's been soaked for a few hours. If you put your power heads in here as well, it would obviously do all of it pretty much at the same time. But I'm not too worried about this bit of coralline. This is just really just to remove it, empty it, clean it as best I can, and get it refilled and put back in the tank. That's all I'm pretty much doing on this one. You'll also notice that my sponge here is a lot better now after it's been cleaned. It's kind of like, you know, come back up, whereas it was very thin before. You can actually buy spares of these. I have a couple, so every now and again I will also replace this once it gets beyond that kind of, yeah, that's knackered, I'm not going to be able to do anything with that scenario, but that I think will be okay for now. So I'm going to leave these to dry, and then I'm going to fill it up with the Rowaphos, and then you'll see me then putting it back into the tank. Right, we're back with the piece now that's all been nice and cleaned. So I've got everything's back in there now. We've got the, pop that back on. We've got the Rowaphos down in the bottom there. One other thing, just quickly, don't forget to check your seal and give that a wipe over. And what we can do now is we'll pop this back in place and we'll turn the water back on. But the exit hose or the exit pipe, we will make sure that's going into the bucket that I've got just below me, because we don't want all of the Rowaphos like dust and any sort of, you know, loose granules that may get sort of may get past the sponge. We want to make sure that doesn't go into the tank. So this is the exit pipe, just coming up out the tank now. So we'll turn the water back on. In fact, I always normally forget this. Turn off auto top up.
Okay.
Because obviously as soon as we start to drain this out, the level of the sump is going to go down and that's going to kick the auto top up off. So we'll turn that off for now and we'll just flush this through. Now I'm just going to bring some water into it slowly to start with. Just want to make sure that, you know, we don't get sort of any leaks. Hopefully you can see it at the back there coming up. So this is what's called flushing your Rowaphos. Flushing it through. So you can see the brown water sort of coming out of this end. I'm going to kick it up a notch, really stir it up, and then once I feel that I've got enough water, I'm just going to put my knee under this bucket before it falls and goes all over the floor, and turn this water down to pretty much where it normally is. And I think we're running clear water now. So that will do. I'm just going to quickly turn it off here, drop it back into the tank, turn it back on again. Now, what I have is where my skimmer is placed. Usually it's around about there. I must get a proper thing for this, because at the moment it's just sat on a plastic container, like a proper stand I need to get, don't I? But I have the outlet of the Rowaphos as well as my Nitrate Pearls just down in front of where the skimmer inlet is. But that's pretty much all up and running. It's a little bit noisier now because obviously we've dropped the water down in the sump, but the Rowaphos is running, and in a minute what I'll do is I'll bring you in for a bit of a close-up view, but you'll see it just kind of just simmering gently, and that's what you want on the surface. You don't want it going all mad like the Nitrate Pearls. Okay, so let's just bring you in now for that close-up of the Rowaphos just sort of simmering. I hope you can see that. Try and hold it as still as I can, but that is pretty much how you want it. You don't want it going mental, just a very, very light simmer. Alright then, so all we're going to do is just remove the reactor and top up the Nitrate Pearls. And I've always used these from Crest Aquatics, as I find them to do a really, really good job. And you can, if you want to, sort of like pre-rinse these, or pre-soak them I should say, and then what you'll find then is that they will sink better in the reactor straight away. But to be fair, you know, where I'm just putting a little bit in just every month, just topping it up, I just usually tip it straight in. So I've already turned off the water supply to the reactor, so we're just going to remove this. Okay, so now we have it out. Obviously you see that it's got quite a lot of coralline all over it, but I'm just going to take off the top there, take off the little cap, and then inside, as you already know, with the two reactors that I've got, one with the Rowaphos, one with this one, it's exactly the same, and you've just got the inner cartridge. And then all I'm going to do is just open up the bag of Nitrate Pearls and tip some more in. It's literally as easy as that. It doesn't take sort of 5 minutes to do it. And here we go. Now you're probably not going to be able to see this because it's kind of off camera, but I'm just going to tip some in. There we go. Right, there we are. Topped it up a little bit more. So let's get this cap back on. In fact, I'm just going to go and wash that off first, actually, before I put it back on, make it all nice and clean. So I'll be back in a second. All right, and as if by magic, there we go, all nice and clean. So let's pop that onto the top there. This one will then sit inside, like so. And all I've got to do now is just pop it back onto the outer casing housing. There we are, job done. Just turn the pump on now. I'm just going to make sure that there's no leaks. Sometimes what I find is I have to undo this slightly to release some air, which will then allow the water then to actually start to fill up. And there we go, all nice and tight. Nitrate Pearls have got a nice lot of movement in there, although you can't really see very well because of all the coralline. But I'll get that off when I actually get the citric acid out and start cleaning all the pumps and the wave maker. And I'll probably remove both of these reactors at the same time, chuck them all into the same bucket and turn one of the power heads on or the wave maker, and then that will kind of clean hopefully all of this up. If the bucket's big enough, I'll probably even throw the skimmer in. Well, that's for another time. This is monthly and that's now done. Little leak there. I just twisted up a little bit more. That's why it's always worth just hanging around and waiting and keeping your eye on it. So now that's done, last thing to do for the monthly is just recalibrate the refractometer. Alright then, so calibrating the refractometer, very important job to do. Obviously we all know how to use them. A couple of drops of the salted water onto here, close up the lid, have a look through it at a bright light or just out in the sunlight, and then you will see the measurements on there. And we always usually strive for 1.025 to 1.026 generally. Now the best way to actually recalibrate these is to use a calibration solution, which you will find it will take it to 1.0264 or 35 parts per thousand. That's the best way of doing it. Now I haven't got any of that solution at the moment, but I will be getting some. So I'm going to use some RO water, and I've got some RO water in the little tube here. And what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that you've cleaned off the lens on the top here. You don't want any salt water, like any creep, anything on there at all. So always make sure there's no salt kind of dried up on the lens. Give it a good wipe over, use RO water if needed, and then all we're going to do is we're going to put a few drops of the RO water onto the top there, close up the lid, and then you can wait, with the calibration fluid you might want to wait 30 to 45 seconds just because of the auto temperature system that it has in here. And then now we've got the RO water in here, it's just a matter of, as I say, putting it up to the light and then seeing what's being recorded. Now this is just very, very slightly over the 0 line. Now on the very top you can pull off the little rubber cap, and then you need a little screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, tiny little screw in there, and then the idea is you'll be looking up at this sunlight, have the screwdriver into the screw, and then just very, very small adjustments just to bring it to the wherever it is that you need it. And obviously with the RO water it's going to be 0, but if you're using the calibration fluid then you're looking to get it to that 35 PTT or PPT, parts per thousand. So very, very quickly I'm just going to do this. Yep, there we go, that's bang on the 0 now. So I can put the little cap on there like so, and obviously don't forget to wipe off and clean off the lens, give it a good clean, a nice dry, and then put it to one side, and that's all then calibrated for next time. So that's pretty much it for the monthly aquarium maintenance schedule for today anyway. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.
Easy come, easy go.